those of you that have been listening to my videos, I've said that I'm doing a series of paintings based on the Pacific, dead or alive, and I'm introducing an element. I realized this a week ago or more. I am introducing an element of images that relate to children, and I have a deep sense that our demise as a race, as beings on this planet, is that we don't take care of our children, ultimately to allow the nuclear bastards to run the show. Somehow says to me that, I mean, how can you deny this, that you create an environment of toxicity that will last for hundreds of thousands of years? You love your children? Well, you figure it out yourself. Now, what I thought about our circumstances, where we are. My thought today, I'm working on this jumping jack, and I thought it's all about intent, motive, motive, motive. There is motive. I think they use that in criminal investigations. Well, you can't prove a murder if there is no motive. It gets very difficult if there's no motive. And I think that even beyond motive, I think intent. Intent. Think about this. Think about this. It's all about intent. That you can have the greatest message, the most valuable understanding and meaning of the universe, but if your intent is rotten, selfish, to get personal gain of some sort, if that is the intent behind a person's advocacy, it's going to go mucky fuck. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Intent is everything. Intent is everything. And when I listen to people in my day-to-day life, and people who are even good people, and I look at these, I look at myself. It's very important. Self-reflection is a very important aspect to intent, because without self-reflection, we may actually believe ourselves to be doing the right thing, meanwhile, without having discovered ourselves, like Socrates said, the unexplored soul. It's like this feeling within ourselves that our intent is righteous, I don't like that word, is in some sense connected to a continuity, what I like to call eternity, that makes everything work. We are part of a continuity, eternity, and intent. Intent. What are your motives? What is the reason for doing anything, to get up in the morning? Why do we get up in the morning? What is our fundamental, the thing that makes us work? What is behind that? And I think intent, our convictions. And I think that if we really look at this in terms of people we listen to, and I could go off. I mean, there is the subterfuge when you look at how we have been misled, and misleading someone, lying, is a bad intent. It already is. There is a prerequisite here behind misleading someone. The intent is to undermine. And I think this is something that can't be explained. I can't explain to you, or I can't understand this. I had to take that call. Anyway, the intent that I'm talking about is connected actually in many ways to a worldview. Now, just because we have a worldview and what we believe to be the nature of our existence, just because we have a worldview doesn't mean it's the right worldview. Like I would say, if you look at Kissinger or Soros or Baby Bush or Blair or the Crowleys, the Aleister Crowleys, I mean, they all have some form of a worldview, but it's the intent that makes that view valuable or destructive. I think we're in this kind of we're experiencing something now at this point in the history of the cosmos in terms of you and me, people. We're experiencing a very high level of destruction. And I think my conclusion is it is all related to intent. Now, I talk about conscience, doing the right thing. And doing the right thing, people have argued and said, well, there are people that say 99% of the population has to be subjugated to a very small group of people. The Akhenaten worldview, where you have the omnipotent being on earth running the show, and it hasn't worked. Now, I would say, okay, let the fucker run the show. Let the Akhenaten types run the show if they wouldn't run it into the ground. If they wouldn't run it into the ground. And the reason it's going to be, they're running it into the ground is intent. It's intent. And the intent is selfish, and it doesn't work. And the reflection, the self-reflection, exists only from the point of view to further that worldview that I want to dominate. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean? What is behind that feeling of me wanting to be the top dog and taking care of business? And people sort of said, okay, well, oligarch, king, whoever you are, run the place, but make it work. And we elect governments and say, well, okay, oligarch, run the place. It's kind of like in lots of little components of bureaucrats and different people that are hooked into this sort of system. And then you say, well, make it work. Well, why doesn't it work? Why isn't it working? When Socrates nailed it, the unexplored soul is not worth existing, some more or less. And this is the root of what I find myself contacting and being connected to, that people who have examined their lives from the point of view that their motive is pure. Their motive is pure. Their intent is based on something that is much larger than themselves. In the sense that I evoke eternity, the idea of eternity or continuity or something that is there that gives us prospects of survival that is not just like dog eat dog. What sort of, when you look at the military complex that is rampaging through the China shop of life, destroying everything, the intent is, can you argue with me? The intent behind invoking murder and killing as a pure motive. I rest my case. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked. So I was reflecting on this as I'm invoking images of what children play with, the rocking horse, the jumping jack, the head on a stick. Kids love to. I remember as a kid I had a stick with a wheel and a horse or something, a head on it or something, and I pushed it around. Even just like a simple stick with a wheel on it and pushing it around was like a magnificent toy for me. So I'm thinking about toys in relation to the paintings I'm doing in regard to the Pacific, dead or alive. The Pacific is being destroyed by Fukushima. People have come out. Dana Durnford has said it's finished. It's over with. Pacific is over. And I think it's very important to focus on what it is that motivates us to do anything at any given time. And the intent is everything. And conscience becomes relevant following that part of it. Conscience is a higher level of acting when intent is in place. And intent is something that it's not something I can tell anybody or anybody can tell me. It comes from inside. And the people that have that purity of their motivations acting are going to make a difference for me. They're going to make a difference to the people that are actually clued into this. So intent is everything. I just thought I'd put it out after I was starting with these bringing in, introducing these images into this fluidity of the Pacific that I'm working with, the children's notion, because I have said that children, the feeling within ourselves, actually, the feeling within ourselves that there is a child, and from the time we're born until the time we die, and I feel this in my work. I feel the child in my work when I actually enjoy what it is I'm doing. I have this curiosity, this innocence, this feeling that I'm touching on something that has value within myself. If I can reproduce that in an image, fucking A, that's what I want to do. And intent is everything. So people that are corrupted by selfish desires and all of that, well, they'll expose themselves. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work, people. Unfortunately, the people that are motivated by greed are they don't have a lot of self-reflection, or the self-reflection that they might have is restricted to a very narrow range of satisfying themselves in some form. It's not true. It's not a real investigation. They really need to check out Socrates.